In 1939, Adolf Hitler became the leader of Germany in World War II and literally started a Jewish apocalypse. And British forces had to try to stop him before it was too late. And that's why Alan Turing took matters into his own hands. The Nazis, who were the people who worked for Hitler, all had Enigma machines. These machines could send letters back and forth as codes, and the other machine that receives the letter could decode it and read the letter. After lots of hard work, Alan and his team managed to build the Bombe computer, and it decoded the messages in just a few hours. Alan Turing's Bombe saved 14 million lives and ended the war 2 years earlier than expected. It may not be the first computer, but it was a crucial achievement in the history of technology. In 1947, a little machine was built with a small screen. It was called the cathode ray amusement device. Seriously, that's the most ridiculous name ever. The word video game hadn't even been invented back then. So, the whole point of it was to hit an imaginary target on the screen. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There were some small things like 1952's electronic tic-tac-toe and 1954's billiard pool game, only that it was an electronic simulator. But one simulation stood out from all. 1958's table tennis for two! This video game has to be in every single video game book in the world. If it isn't, tell someone, because this is the first video game ever made! In 1962, made on a DEC PDP-1 mini computer, well, at the time, a computer that big was considered mini at the time, came Space War! In 1966, a small device was made. It was literally as big as like a toolbox. And it had controllers. It had lots of wires in it, but all it managed to do was literally control 2 dots on the screen. That's pretty much it. But this was the start of the first home game console. This console was called the Brown Box. All it could do was literally control 2 dots on the screen with 2 controllers. But later, they managed to put a 3rd dot on. And after that, they managed to play a shaggy version of table tennis. Not bad. In 1972, another console came, the Magnavox Odyssey. It had 11 built-in games, and technically a future generation from the Brown Box. But make way, 'cause something else is on its way. The same year, what came out? The groundbreaking Pong! Sort of like a table tennis simulation, but instead it's a simulation of ping pong! And this game would be the first game of a company called Atari! One of the most successful companies of the 1970s and 1980s. Please take a minute to look at the timeline of its logos. I can't explain every single game Atari has made, or else this video would have been 2 hours long at least. I'll just explain some of the popular ones. Even though Pong was actually one of the most popular video games of Atari, we already talked about it. So I'll just start at what came next. Space Invaders from 1978. It was a game which you had to shoot all the aliens before they shoot you. And it's the first game that the enemy shoots back. Pac-Man from 1980. There's nothing too special about it, but it's just very popular and it's a beloved classic. Plus, the origin of how it's made is also very funny. Donkey Kong from 1981. It's known for being the first story with a storyline. Storyline is that Jumpman descends into a construction site to rescue his girlfriend, Pauline, from his escaped pet ape, Donkey Kong. But it's also known for being the first appearance of, you got it, Mario! Please take a minute to look at his timeline. But now moving on to the sad story of how Atari came to its end. In 1982, the movie E.T. came out, and it was a smash hit. Well, Atari was at its peak at the time, and it wanted to make the E.T. video game. So, they got a humongously big and risky loan from the bank and started coding. They rushed it so much so they could release it just before Christmas of 1983. But when they did, if the reviews were so bad that it was literally nicknamed the worst video game in history, then boy, it should have been a disaster. Remember the loan? They couldn't pay back. Atari lost $539 million that month. And that was pretty much it for Atari. 2 years later, in 1985, a company called Nintendo released the Super Mario Bros. And it was all the rage in the 80s, and it's still pretty popular today. Oh, and I almost forgot, this is the console they played it on. The Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES for short. And in 1995, the company Sony released its first console. You got it, the Sony PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 2 came out in 2000. The PS3 in 2006. The PS4 is from 2013. The PS5 was made in 2020. Xbox, made by Microsoft, was also released in 2001. There's also Xbox 360, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, but that's too many consoles. I came here for the games, man. In 1989, Nintendo took it up a whole notch and released the Nintendo Game Boy. It had the controllers and the screen together in one. And it also contained lots of video games, including Tetris. Tetris was released originally in 1984, and holy cow did it look different. But I think your parents know the Game Boy version better. Boy, that's different. In the 1990s, there wasn't many popular games. Technically, there were lots of not popular games, not only a couple of very popular games. Get what I mean? But actually, there was one very popular game that was so popular that they turned it into a card game. Also designed for the Game Boy in 1998 came Pokemon Red and Blue! The early 2000s is known for its consoles, but I already went through that. This next game is not too popular, and it wouldn't have been in this video if I didn't play it. And it's Roblox! You might be saying, holy cow, I'm not playing that. The graphics are so bad I can hardly see what's going on. But hold your horses. That's only the 2006 version. This is what Roblox looks like today. And if you're still thinking the graphics is bad, it's not the Roblox graphics, it's the graphics of this video. Plus, Roblox isn't just one game. It's a whole sandbox server filled with thousands of games that other people have made. You can also make a game too on Roblox. Now please take a minute to look at the history of the Roblox logo. But hey, I can't possibly forget the next one. It's so popular the whole world knows it. Released in 2011 by Mojang Studios comes Minecraft! This digital 3D world is very fun to play with almost infinite amounts of things to do. You could do almost everything you can do in real life and even do extra things like fight monsters, including creepers, skeletons, zombies, and even some very, very rare creatures like the blue axolotl, which only spawns at the chance of 0.83%. It's said that the way to beat the game is to beat the Ender Dragon. It's the big boss in the dimension called the End. You need an Ender portal to get there. Beating the game could take about from 1 to 3 years. So, be patient. Well, I guess this is all I have to say about the history of video games.